Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Herbology 102. We are now in our week 2, and this week we're going to be talking about creating a sacred space. Just a reminder, if you did not do the quiz yet for over the last week's material, make sure that you do that before the end of the week. Okay? Let's go ahead and get into this week's material. I just wanted to let you know here, in discussing the sacred space, that not every witch uses their garden as their sacred space. There are plenty of witches who, like for example, kitchen witches tend to have their altar or sacred space in the home. And that is the space they consider to be sacred. Every witch has their own sacred space. However, if you want to use your garden as your sacred space, these are going to be some pretty helpful tips to kind of get you started. Also, as witches, we have the ability to create our sacred space whenever and wherever we need it. We are in tune with nature and elements and the forces and everything around us. So we have the ability to create that sacred space when we need it. Okay? But if you're wanting to make your garden your sacred space, let's talk about a few ways that you can do that. So one thing that you can do is include sacred shapes in your garden. And these sacred shapes are going to differ depending on which pathway you follow. But let's just get, for an example, let's say that you want to include the shape of a pentacle in your garden. You could have a pathway, like a walkway through your garden that's in the shape of a pentacle if you have this space that allows that. Or maybe you are able to plant your flowers or your herbs in the shape of the triple moon. But if those don't work for you and you still want to include some sacred shapes, you could also use statues or other decorations that really resonate with you and have really heavy meaning. But you can also even arrange different paving stones in your garden to kind of represent those sacred symbols. Also, you can work on placing elemental representations in different spots in your garden. For example, maybe you want to put some wind chimes in the east side of your garden to represent air. You could put an outdoor flame or a torch for fire in the south side of your garden. You could have a pond or a fountain or some sort of water feature or even a water symbol in the west side of your garden. And then you could put a large stone or an earth symbol, something like that, on the north side of your garden. Just anything like that to really represent the elements. And we'll get into the elemental garden later on, so that'll make a lot more sense. Also, you can use plants that are more associated with the deities that you worship. And that is a very, very different thing for everyone. That really just depends on what deities you're in contact with and you work with. So you would have to research those on your own and make sure that those plants will thrive in your area before you're able to do that. But we'll talk about that more later in this class as well. But that's something you could definitely do to make your space a little bit more sacred. Also, you can consider putting an altar in your garden, especially if you're a green witch. This is a great place for an altar for a green witch. Of course, any witch could do it too, but just, it'd be great for green witches. And remember that things can have a multi-purpose in your garden just as they do anywhere else. So let's just say you did choose to use a stone to represent earth. You could also use that large stone as an altar if you choose to. Things can have more than one purpose there. And, you can also use the moon cycles to perform different cleansing and dedication rituals in your garden. So if you're a cosmic witch or a lunar witch and you really follow those moon cycles really, really closely, or if that just resonates with you on a regular basis anyways, you can definitely do things that are well associated with those different moon phases in your garden to keep it sacred for you. And last but definitely not least, if you do work with a deity, you can just simply ask for their blessing on your garden. And I personally don't work with deities, but for those that do, you can really look to them to help guide you a little bit, not only in the creation of your garden, but also how to make it more sacred for your practice. Okay, and I know this was a super quick class, but Since the sacredness of your garden really depends on you and your practice, there's only so much that we can say about it. So, would you consider the garden your sacred space? Why or why not? And also, which tip for creating a sacred space is your favorite? Like, which one do you think you would definitely utilize in your own garden? And why is that? All right, well, that's all I have for you all today. So I will catch up with you all next week. Until then, you all have a great week, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.